Okay guys, I'm making this recording here because I've watched this video
And just keep adding
of Numberphile. Basically it's sum of natural numbers, and he says from the beginning of the video that 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, he's trying to like surprise you. Like, what does that equal to, he's saying, and the guy says, oh, it must be infinity, right? He says, no, it's negative 1 over 12. How surprising. I'm a physicist, or I don't know what he is, but I'm a professional. And by the way, physicists use this number. This must be true. Your logic is blind to the harsh truth of the universe. That is what he's saying to us. Look at him. How can you even use logic anymore when you look at me? Because this result is phenomenal. Now, I'm making this video because this proof doesn't make sense, and it has one critical misleading factor to this proof.
It begins with is to
let me show you where that critical error, or rather critical misleading, underhanded sneakiness is located. So, I don't know.
You need to know is that this.
Now, first of all, this 1 minus x, 1 over 1 minus x business, that is a location of an asymptote. This is not necessarily equal to 1 over 1 minus x, but it's a converging series of equal to 1 over 1 minus x when x is less than 1. But I think I think that's not really the basis of his proof here.
Beginning to look a little is it the next and prime z, and its definition of what over 1 to the s, well, that's just 1 plus 1 of s. So this, because it's I times t, this is equals plus 8 to the minus s plus all the way.
So he's saying 1 minus 2 plus 3 minus 4 plus 5 minus etc. is equal to 1/4. This, my friends, is wrong. Why is it wrong? Well, let me show you. Where is it? Oh, I can't find it. Oh, here it is. This is called a divergent series here. 1 minus 2 plus 3 minus 4, etc., etc. If you were to graph this, what's happening is that this divergent series has asymptotic behavior centered around 1/4. Do you see that? 1 minus 2 plus 3 minus 4 plus 5 minus etc. This, my friends, looks like this. You see that? It doesn't equal to 1/4. No, no, no. It has this. So this, in engineering, I'm going on a tangent here, but in engineering, you can't do math. You can't just use numbers. Numbers always have units to them or some meaning to them. You know, they often even throw trick questions at you by giving you numbers here and there and hoping you add or plug in the wrong numbers because you misinterpret the meaning of those numbers. Now, going back to this video here, he's doing an error akin to what I just described. This 1/4 is not, it's not like this equals to 1/4. Rather, this series here has a horizontal asymptote which intersects the y-axis. This is the y-axis here, if you can imagine, at 1/4. Do you see that? Great. I hope you do see that. I don't know if my mouth shows up in the video. I hope it does. But he uses the location of a horizontal asymptote as the basis for his proof. And from here on out, the rest of his proof is simply mathematical masturbation using a horizontal asymptote location at 1/4. Remember, this equal is actually better reworded as has a horizontal asymptote at 1/4. So by doing all this mathematical masturbation based on the location of one horizontal asymptote, what he ends up here is something has some asymptotic relationship at negative 1/12. Because once again, all this math was done using the location of an asymptote. You would think this negative 1/12 must be a location of an asymptote. Well, if you did follow that logic, you are correct. Here is a graph depicting 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, etc. And if you were to draw an asymptote fitting the behavior of this graph, you see the graph clearly 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, as you can even see in the graph, or use your brain, as Ayn Rand would put it. Don't be afraid to use your brain. Use your brain, you realize it goes to infinity. This graph shows you going to infinity. Your brain says it does go to infinity. But the asymptote, or rather, just like, kind of like a curve. A curve fitting this behavior here, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, it intersects the y-axis at negative 1/12. You see that? That's the meaning behind negative 1/12. It's the intersection of this little asymptote here. Now, there's a similar summation besides 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. It's 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 right here. This summation is simply counting upwards. If you count upwards in numbers, which I hope Barney has taught you when you were a child, or your kindergartner teacher has taught you. No, sorry, I make bad jokes here, but yes, this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It clearly, if you keep counting up, you do go to infinity. It gets bigger and bigger. But if you do the same mathematical tricks as he does, you get this equal to negative 1/12. How does it equal to negative 1/12? Well, rather than saying it's equal to negative 1/12, it has an asymptotic behavior which intercepts the y-axis at negative 1/12. It even says here on Wikipedia, right? So what's going on? Well, what's going on is Numberphile here has released a video which has misled you to think that if you just keep adding numbers, you'll get negative 1/12. But here it's more like, was I saying negative 1/12 this whole time, or negative 1/2? I was looking at this graph. Okay, I'm sorry, I just went off a tangent here. But what I'm trying to say is that this is very misleading. It doesn't equal to negative 1/12. It has an asymptote that intersects the y-axis at negative 1/12, because the basis behind his proof is based on the asymptote of a divergence series, which happens to also intersect the y-axis at some number, which in this case was negative, or was positive 1/4. And also Numberphile had a different proof for his exact same series, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5, blah blah blah. And in his other proof, used in another video apparently, he used this series, 1 minus 1 plus 1 minus 1 plus 1, blah blah blah. And he said that's equal to 1/2, which is not true, because as you can see, I drew a picture of that, and it's not equal to anything. When you keep adding those numbers, it's undetermined. It's undetermined what the value is, because, okay, if you were an engineer, you would say it could either be 1 or 0. We'll have to prepare for both cases in our design, okay? Maybe something's vibrating, or I don't know. But this 1/2 is the location of like a horizontal asymptote or line fitting this behavior of this curve, as you would call it, this square wave, what have you, over here at the y-axis, 1/2 right here, intersection. And so once again, through the same proof using a different asymptote, he got negative 1/12 again, which once again, I want to remind you, is not what this summation is equal to. This summation is not equal to this. It is if you base everything off, you have to think in terms of engineering or chemistry or whatever, physics. You have to think of it in terms of units. You have to label this number. This number is the location of an asymptote. If you base all your math off a location of an asymptote, namely the intersection of the y at the y-axis of that asymptote, then you're going to get a result which also indicates the intersection of that asymptote at the y-axis. And so all this video did was show that. And that, I hope, he says in his video that it has some physical meaning, and I looked up the physical meaning and I lost the tab, and I really don't want to Google it in the middle of this long video I'm making right now. But if you look up the physical meaning, you'll find that it could very well just be the asymptote that has the physical meaning, the location of that asymptote at the 0th value of the sum or whatever, rather than that this infinite addition is equal to that number there. Alright, I don't know, I watched some physical meaning of, they use like charged plates or something at a certain distance. I don't really know, I don't want to look it up. You can feel free to look it up, but I really just wanted to get you guys thinking and stop circle jerking like idiots. Please stop circle jerking. Oh my god, I got into some internet argument. I just got this is 3 hours ago. Someone posted this. I commented on this video 2 hours ago. I had raised a lot of questions. I did a lot of research. People are telling me this is wrong, this is right. People are saying this is useless. And you're not giving me very detailed responses. I just want to give you all a very detailed explanation for what the meaning of this negative 1/12 is. It has meaning. The meaning is asymptote location at the y-intercept. Or my wording, my grammar is not that great, but you understand what I'm saying, right? Great. How long is this? 12 minutes? Well, fuck. I'm sorry about that. And once again, I would like to appeal to you, just like this guy used appeal of authority in his position as a mathematician. Oh, I want to appeal to you too. I have graduate education in mathematics, and I'm a professional fast food worker right now. I assure you, with my professional fast food opinion, that this is wrong. But please, do not take my credentials as proof. Just take what I'm saying, use whatever facts you got from it, and use your brain. Don't be a drone. Don't be a sensationalist. Use your brain. Yep. So yeah. And shoutouts to the INTP group. That's a pretty good, damn good Facebook group, and if you've never been there, you should go there. It's fucking awesome. Shoutouts to League of Legends that disconnect me from the servers because I don't know. Shoutouts to I don't know. Fuck all this. Shoutouts to Notepad++.